Hey guys, Dr. Dex here. Welcome to the Dr. Dex podcast. Today I am with Mr. Alex Danner of Fence and Deck Marketers. Alex, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more about your story. I have a personal relationship with Alex because we've recently hired him and his team to help us in several different aspects of our marketing campaign for our company. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But Alex, why don't you tell us, give us an introduction of you and what you're currently doing right now?
Yeah, so name's Alex Danner. Have a digital marketing agency called Fence and Deck Marketers. So basically, we only work with fencing and decking companies, and we do websites, SEO, Google ads, pay-per-click ads, Facebook ads, really anything digitally. And yeah, we're only with those companies. So we have a team of 26 full-time team members where we're just solely focused on really generating leads for fencing and decking companies. And yeah, it's been a fun ride.
How long have you had Fence and Deck Marketers for?
So I used to have an agency that worked with anybody and everybody. So I've been in the industry over 10 years, but I started Fence and Deck Marketers about 5 or 6 years ago. So yeah, it's been pretty good bit or good chunk of when I've been in business just for Fence and Deck Marketers.
Okay, and we're gonna kind of hit the rewind button and get kind of your backstory. But have you always been into marketing and that kind of thing, or?
So I actually started as a software engineer. So when I was in college, I kind of heard about all the Silicon Valley stuff going on, and heard Instagram sold for $1 billion. So I was like, man, maybe I should learn how to code. So that was kind of like the cool thing. I just couldn't believe it. And it just always kind of fascinated me, always liked computers and things. And then really just kind of changed up what I was doing and gave it a try basically. And kind of the first major I chose was like, I didn't really know what I was doing at that point, or I had no clue. So when that kind of interested me, I was like, hey, let's give it a try. And yeah, I just really liked it. Actually, grades went up a little bit, once I started doing stuff that was a little bit more interesting. And yeah, basically wanted to always start a business. So I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years out of college, I started my first business, which is, I guess, technically the same one I have now, but was really just working on custom websites, custom mobile applications, and just developing custom software. And then, of course, websites too. But what I quickly realized was you build a website and then there's not much after it. So I started learning about, marketing and SEO, which I didn't really think I would like as much as I did, but, it just seemed to make sense. And, why I just kind of looked at like, why build all these websites or these apps if they're not going to work for you? So when I learned about SEO and started following a lot of people, that's when I kind of picked up, like, I started to realize people need ongoing leads, contractors, things like that. I mean, most businesses. So it just kind of evolved from there. And then, everything else we do now just kind of came after. But yeah, that's how it started.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. So, okay, where are you currently located?
I'm in Westminster, Maryland.
Okay.
About 45 minutes from Baltimore, in case you've never heard of that.
Okay. I've heard of it, but I had no idea where it was located. So,
yeah.
But have you always been from that area?
I'm always been from Maryland. So, like first originally was born in Montgomery County, Maryland. My parents split. I moved up to Howard County, and I spent most of my life there all the way through, high school. And then basically just, country boy at heart, I would say. So, I like being around the farms. I like doing all that kind of stuff. And northern and Carroll County is where I'm at now in Westminster. It's just like, it's modern. It's got all the stores and stuff. So my wife isn't feel like we're out in the boonies, but at the same time, we drive by cornfields and horses and cows and stuff, and only got to go about 10 minutes to get to pretty much any store you'd want. So it kind of just seemed like the perfect balance.
Sure. You get a little bit of everything there.
Yeah.
So you said like you grew up on a farm?
No, I didn't grow up on a farm. Just I grew up hunting a lot. So my dad's
Okay.
a big hunter, and my grandfather is too. So they were
Mm-hmm.
always taking me. We were always going on some different trips, going around the world on different hunting trips. But
Really?
yeah, I've actually been to Africa 3 times, which most people don't really know. But
No, that's
yeah,
cool. And how old were you when you took your first trip to like
the
overseas?
first trip I was actually 13. So yeah.
Wow.
Yep, it was
Wow, that's
actually
insane.
pretty early on, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's always just kind of stuck. It's
Mm-hmm.
I love just the hunt. I mean, I kind of
Mm-hmm.
relate it to business. It's like you put in all this time, and it's you're hoping you get something. A lot of times you don't, but just like business, you keep putting in the grind, and eventually good things come your way. So I've done a lot of deep reflection on that to like think about it. Maybe that is something that helps. Teach you patience and these days. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's so easy to be impatient, and I still am, but
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like it plays into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure is. So you're young. So how did you sharpen your skill set for the hunt? And what kind of rifles were you shooting? That kind of thing.
Yeah. So, when I was 13, I didn't even hit a growth spurt until I was 15. So I was like 5'4", probably, around there and like 100 pounds. So the guns that are required to hunt some of these animals have quite the kick. So we had a gun that was just kind of adjusted, I guess, to reduce recoil and things. So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, like I've been lion hunting, I've been leopard hunting, I've
Wow.
Cape buffalo hunting. So, all of those they're big animals and they're hard. So,
Mm-hmm.
375 is kind of the minimum for those, and that was probably the biggest gun we had to take. But the same gun I've used my whole life, a 300 Win Mag, which is popular military weapon as well. That's kind of been my baby ever since, since day
Yeah.
one. So that's usually what I take just about everywhere is a 300.
Okay. And do you target shoot at all, or do you go to the range every once in a while just to stay sharp, or how does that
Yeah,
come into
so
play?
I mean, prepping for those hunts because they are so dangerous, you can die. Like you got to really put in training, and my dad was good about that, and like really putting me through the ringer and putting me through
Mm.
scenarios. I think back on it now, I'm like, I don't think I would ever take my kid to do what he did, but that might change. I don't know. But but yeah, I mean, it was a lot of training. I mean, just
Pretty
tons.
intense for a young kid. Like I
Yeah,
would agree with
yeah,
that. Like,
yeah,
we had to train for a camping trip once, and with heavy backpacks and all that. And I was like, man, I don't. This isn't fun for me. Like I don't like this.
yeah,
But I couldn't even imagine. Like yeah, and yeah, if you can't keep up with the group and you guys are off in the bush somewhere, you got a lot of exercises you're doing just to get to a
yeah,
site where you might be able to catch something or land something. So
yeah, yeah.
very interesting. So when you would go on these trips, was it like during school or was it in the summer months or vacations or what?
It was summer. So
Mm-hmm.
my parents were divorced. My mom, I think she just had enough of hunting, being married to my dad at that point. So she was like kind of hoping I would just, not be into it. And I was
Mm-hmm.
living with my mom and she was never ever let me take off school for it. So it had to
Okay.
be the summer, but the good thing about that was the winter in Africa is actually in our summer. So I
Mm-hmm.
was already off, and that's the best time to go to Africa. As you can imagine,
Oh,
it's not that.
yeah. Not
I
as
mean, it gets
hot.
pretty cold, but yeah, I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
gets pretty hot during the day, but it's freezing at night. I mean, I could tell stories all day long about almost dying in the middle of the getting lost out there, and I mean, it's truly an incredible place. Someplace I really just can't wait to go back to.
That's cool. I someday aspire to go there, but that's a planned trip for sure, right?
Yeah. It's a long flight too. I mean, it's like
Mm-hmm.
20 plus total hours on that plane. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's worth it.
I
I
bet.
think so anyway.
So when you're and I come from a broken divorce family as well from a very young age, and I was same lived with my mom, and did she remarry or did you have a stepfather after that or?
So, she had a boyfriend. I think my guess, I guess I've never really asked her, was they just didn't really see the need to like get remarried.
Mm-hmm.
He was great. He kind of came in the picture in high school. So
Mm-hmm.
his name's Ralph, and just a phenomenal guy, and we get along
Right on.
great. My
Good
dad
for
did
you.
remarry too. Sorry, what
Mm-hmm.
were you saying?
Oh, I just said good for you.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
He was a great guy, and my dad remarried a great person too. Donna, they actually did get married. So, but yeah, I was mostly with my mom.
Right on. Right on. And so, what was like junior high? Were you into sports or anything like that, or besides hunting? Was there anything else that you were into
Yeah,
growing up?
yeah. I was kind of the only one that hunted. I kind of grew up like nobody else is doing this, so it's kind of my own little thing with my dad. But
Mm-hmm.
lacrosse is my sport, so
Okay.
we were pretty good at the high school we went to is kind of like my brother played there, and just knew a lot of the guys through him, so it was kind of like a I don't know. I grew up kind of watching those guys and win state championships and things, and that kind of motivated us, I guess.
Nice.
But yeah,
So,
we did pretty good.
how many brothers and sisters do you have?
One brother, two sisters by blood, and then one stepsister.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So lacrosse went. So what grade were you in when you started doing that?
Oh man, I don't even know. Like probably third or something. Yeah, really early
Oh
on.
wow.
Definitely elementary
Oh
school.
okay.
Yeah,
So
so
you
lacrosse
were
is a
been
small
into it for
sport. Yeah, it kind of like started
right.
in Maryland. Like nobody really. I mean, I've seen people from Texas like try to throw a lacrosse stick, and they're like they have literally no clue. So it's not that big of a sport. East Coast it kind of is, I guess, but it's not like baseball or football or anything like that.
Well, Calvin came home with a couple of these once, and we started tossing the ball
Oh,
around. It was
really?
kind of fun. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. We were like went on vacation. We had our lacrosse sticks in the swimming pool, and we're throwing the ball over
Nice.
people, and it was pretty cool. But I mean, that's a pretty physical sport, though. Like you're constantly on the hustle, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's a pretty fast paced sport, and yeah, it's physical too. I mean, I've gotten concussions from it, just getting laid out,
Cool.
stuff like that. So yeah,
It's like
it's
rugby with sticks.
yeah. Hey, luckily, you got a helmet, I guess, but yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
but yeah, those sticks do hurt and
Oh yeah.
hurt pretty bad if you get
Do you
some
guys wear
hits going
shin
on.
guards? Because I could imagine that would really hurt.
Now, that probably would make sense in some scenarios. I mean, I've been checked in the shins because I played attack,
Oh.
which is like the offensive position, and the defense
Hmm.
have a pole that's twice as long as yours.
Oh,
So
really?
naturally, yeah. So naturally, that thing just hits you everywhere, and shins included.
Mm. Man, that sounds painful, but fun. I bet you that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah,
So, and you did lacrosse all through high school?
yeah, yeah. I played all through middle and high
Hmm.
school.
Were you into academics at all, or was your studies important?
Probably not as important as they should be. I wouldn't say I was
Hmm.
a scholar athlete or anything like that.
Hmm.
Grades were
Hmm.
pretty rough. I was kind of surprised I got into the college I did, but luckily I did. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was more of a kind of partier, to be quite honest. Like just
Okay.
yeah, I was more of just
Good for
like
you.
I didn't.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
Hey,
Okay, so let's get a timeline going. So how old are you?
I'm 34 now.
Okay, so you were born in
91.
1991. All right. So so what year did you graduate?
09.
Okay. So now you're in lacrosse. So what else? So you like to you like to go and we'll say celebrate with your friends and go do things and that for me in high school, when I was in high school, that was always fun to just go to house parties and hang
Yeah,
out and
yeah,
whatever, and so you had your lacrosse sport, and then so you did manage to graduate high school, and then what college did you go to?
So Salisbury University, it's on the east coast of Maryland, kind of by
Okay,
Ocean City, Maryland, like 30 minutes from there.
nice. So when you went to college, what was your thought? What did you have a major in mind, or
No
did you always
idea.
know that? No.
No,
Okay.
no. I remember they had these like, sessions where you kind of pick your majors and like they just basically put paperwork out and were like, fill out what you want to do the rest of your life, basically. And I was just like sitting there like I literally have no clue. And I remember I saw a paper or something that said like business management on it, and I was like, I don't even know what to put. Let's go with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just put that down, and I joined like the business school there, and I guess it kind of worked out, but it was not very far from knowing what I wanted to do.
Okay. But what did you end up getting a degree?
Yeah, I did graduate. It's a little late, but I actually double majored. So I did business management and then added what was it called? Information systems, which is kind of like software stuff and
Mm-hmm.
coding. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, strange kind of thing, but yeah, just took a little bit longer, and I just graduated with both of those.
Okay. So business management, what does that in a nutshell? If you, I don't know if you can, I've asked people to do this before, and it's difficult to pinpoint, right? What would you tell people like business management? What is that like? Like you go in, what do you learn, and what is business management like?
I mean, quite honestly, like I think it's kind of gaining steam these days where people are saying like, or seeing the faults of like going to college. It's like, I look back, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it was just very generic and like there's nothing really. I mean, I can't think of a single thing that I really applied to it. You know, you kind of
Okay.
memorizing like certain. I don't know, I always had a trouble with like school in general. Like I'm not a good test taker, but I kind of always
Mm-hmm.
had this like chip on my shoulder of like, why am I memorizing these facts? Like, it's like I got to memorize these business styles, and I'm like, okay, great, but like I'm never like I just kind of thought of it as like I'm probably gonna forget this, and then like I'm not gonna be
Mm-hmm.
able to use it. So that's kind of what it was. It was like I guess there was a couple cool classes where you do like entrepreneurial stuff, where you would like plan a business class or plan a business and create the business plan. I would say that
Mm-hmm.
was one of the cooler ones, one of the few I remember, I guess. But um,
Okay.
it was kind of generic stuff, it's and outdated things. I remember taking marketing classes, and it's all like print marketing. I've talked to my niece who recently got a marketing degree not too long ago. Same thing there. They're not even talking about SEO and all the things that like really actually drive leads and things. So I guess it's kind of cool that it's kind of getting outdated, and AI I'm sure is going to expedite that. But it
Yeah.
makes me think, I have young kids, like what do I really want to do with them? Because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to like give them the tools they need to succeed. But I
Right.
kind of like the idea of, how do you want to start a business? Does that interest you? If it does, like, you can learn a lot more things. Kind of, I guess I just look at it. You'll never go to college and learn everything. Like, there's just no way you'll
Right.
come out and be like, oh my god, I'm a business expert. It's like there's
Right.
no
It's
way.
like how to manage a business. They teach you that, but
Yeah,
it's kind of stuff you already knew. It's kind of common sense. A lot of it's
yeah,
common sense. It seems
yeah.
like. So let me ask you this. And I've talked to a few people that actually have this degree, but I never went to college. I went to the School of Hard Knocks, right?
Nice.
So I've learned a lot through life experience, but now they have degree. And when I started on social media, I don't even think this was a degree, but now they have a degree in social media marketing. Like that to me is fascinating that it's become that fast, like in 10 years or 15 years, that colleges have adapted the fact, oh yeah, you know what? This is a viable career that you can have, and we're going to give you a degree in it.
That's good.
But
Yeah.
how do they find out all these things that you need to know? Because I've learned a lot about social media, but I don't know everything, and I don't know strategy, and I don't know how to change algorithm or whatever, or flow with it, or usually I'm late. I just kind of follow some of the other influencers and then make some adjustments according to what they're doing sometimes. But
Yeah.
I find that really interesting that not only is marketing in general, I think is still important. I think it's still going to be important as time goes on, but that there's actually marketing for social media as well as business and other online ways of doing things.
I'm glad that they have that as a major. I mean, that's what it should be. Like
Right?
look what you've built. I mean, you're a perfect case study on that, but it's only getting bigger. I mean, all the video stuff,
Yeah.
it'll be crazy to see how it all shakes out with AI. But I think, like most things, it's overhyped a little bit of like doing AI everything with videos. Like people
Yeah.
just get annoyed by that. Like, again, you're a case study for that. Like real stuff, people follow real people. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's people that get away with it and like, do all right or whatever, and then say they can make everyone millionaires because they
Yeah, right.
got lucky or something. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you can't break human nature completely.
Right.
We want to see and resonate with other people, and I
Agreed.
guarantee that's why you've had such a big following. So
I think that in 5 years, it'll be interesting to see where it all comes together. Because, like you said, everybody, all the analysts, a lot of the media, which I don't know sometimes to believe or not, but they're always saying, well, how fast it's moving and how fast it's evolving and how it's going to take everybody's jobs and so on and so forth unless you adapt with it and all these things. All I know is that it may affect how I obtain my jobs, but it's not going to replace how I do my job.
yeah,
You know, or
yeah.
how we build a deck, unless they got some robots I don't know about that can come,
No.
do it for us. So I think we're quite a ways out from that kind of. I won't be alive when that goes on. So, but it'll be I don't know, for maybe the future. You never know what's going to come around the corner. So okay, so you graduate from college and you've got your degree. So what do you do next?
So I basically applied for this company. This one's actually kind of funny. So I applied to a company that did, like, they were hiring software engineers. I didn't know anything about anything, but they were hiring them. They came to our job day or whatever, and basically they were trying to, like, place engineers, and that's a really big business. Surprisingly, like, there's people that just sell, like, IT people. I don't know if they do it that much anymore with AI, but back then, like, that was huge because everyone was making software, so they had to get all these engineers for all these different projects. So I went to this company, but they promised to train coding, and they were like, oh yeah, we'll put you in an apartment, and you'll learn all this with these other guys. And I was like, that sounds awesome. They even were paying pretty good at the time. So went in there, I show up, the apartment is just like a disaster, like the most disgusting apartment you've ever seen. And I, like, go up there, and I'm telling, like, friends and family, I'm all excited. And I'm like, gosh, this is kind of a bad start. And I'm like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm making this work no matter what. But it's just kind of a bad start there. And then I go to the training on the first day, and basically, like, they want to train you an entire programming language, one language per week, which one language for months would take a while. At least it did for me. So I kind of realized they were just, like, almost like just trying to do the bare minimum to train you and then place you so they could make this big fee that they get for placing people, and just kind of quickly realized it was pretty sketchy. So I actually traveled all the way. I was kind of like, well, I'm just going to stay up all night and I'm going to make it work and I'm going to get good. And I just got to make it work. So I did go to Texas, and actually moved all the way over there for that, for a contract. And the contract ran dry in a couple months, and I was supposed to be there for a year, and I was basically on my way back home after a month, with an apartment that I leased for a year. So that was a whole ordeal, but made it work. Found somebody to lease it, but I just realized I got to get out of this company. Like, there's just something's not going right. So then I worked for actually a teammate's dad from lacrosse. He had a company, and I knew his dad pretty well, so I started working with him, and he was doing some, like, software stuff, and kind of not really what I was, like, training to do, but needed money, all those things. So signed up with him, and just very boring, and quickly realized I wanted to start something on my own, and eventually did. Was there probably 3 years until I started. I don't know, 3 or 4 years. Timing's a little bit hazy at this point, but started my own thing, and just kept going. I guess it's the same company that I changed the way I do things. I'm doing different services, whatever, to make it work, but it's actually the same company. When I started it about 10 years ago. So yeah, so actually, kind of heard a friend of a friend was doing what I wanted to. He was creating custom stuff. He had his own business, and I just thought it was really cool. So basically, I contacted him and I was like, hey, you want to go get a drink and I'll meet you out, in Baltimore. And we did. And I was kind of like, hey, like, I'll work for you for free. Whatever you want, I'll do. I'll come after work. So I would leave work at like 3 or 4 and then drive to Baltimore and just work for free to like learn from him because I liked what he was doing. Didn't get paid for a very long time, but I was learning and I thought it was cool. So it was fine. And I don't have, wasn't married or had kids, so I could do it. But basically, those things we were making were like mobile apps. So I think the first one was like a veterinarian. Man, I have to really think about that. Something with a veterinarian, like a veterinarian app, I think. That and some other mobile apps. And then he had these local businesses that he was doing marketing through with his uncle. So they were building websites for like plumbing, HVAC, all this stuff. So I was building those sites and kind of already knew that a little bit. But to me, it was like awesome that I was learning that stuff, but just very quickly like get run down is what I realized when you're like leaving work, starting at 7 and then you're getting home super late. But we yeah, it was pretty rough, but I love working with him. He's a great guy and we just kind of progressed. Sure. Cool. No, you're good. No worries.
Couple minutes maybe, and just repeat maybe the last minute of whatever we were talking about. Like
Yeah.
I think you were discussing where you were working for this gentleman, and you kind of started, and then you decided to start your own business. Oh, repeat about like your travel. Like that was kind of interesting. Like starting to burn out, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So yeah, basically his name was Cody and
Mm-hmm.
he was working from home. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. So I was like, I hate going to the office. So I would, I would go there and like he's just working from his house or he lived in Baltimore with a rooftop. So like to me, that was so cool to be able to like work from somebody's house. So yeah, every day I would travel over there to basically just work with him, learn from him. I felt bad because I'm like, even though I'm not getting paid, like I just feel like I'm kind of not that helpful. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like I wasn't anywhere close to as good as he was, and those kind of things. But it kind of just, I think he had a mutual like felt bad that I was traveling, so we were good.
And what exactly were you doing for him?
So we were basically just creating apps, like mobile
Creating apps.
applications. Yeah, I'm not even sure what it's like now, but I think AI makes it
Mm-hmm.
easier. But yeah, like Android, iOS apps, all that stuff is what we were working on, and then
Okay.
websites too for contractors. So that was kind of the beginning of like working with home service contractors, lawyers, doctors, and
Mm-hmm.
anybody that needs leads, basically.
And were you just really good at on the computer to be able to like design a website? And you got to have some kind of graphics and be able to understand software and how to design to be able to do that kind of thing.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it interested me. Like, I think that's kind of the key. If you like doing something, you'll keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I had any special skills. I actually looked up to my brother who was just like better with computers and I
Mm-hmm.
always thought he was better. So I just kind of was like, hey, let me see if I can make a website. So I did that well before then. And it just kind of all fascinated me, I guess. I just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
see how to do it and wanted to see how it worked. And the fact that I could work with him, who I thought, and he was doing good, but like I thought he had it all, like that's all I really
Mm-hmm.
wanted was to work from home and make money from
Uh-huh.
home.
Cool.
So, yeah.
And you're in your new home office?
Yeah, it's a long process. Probably if I had some more skills like you, it would have been a little bit easier. But
Oh, yeah.
finally getting it done.
Good
Almost
for
done. I
you.
got one more thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yep. Just
I
missing the
just
big sign here. That's what I need.
yeah.
I need my big sign that's going there.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come. It'll come.
Yeah.
It does take time to dial things in though sometimes when you're trying to get a certain look or a certain vibe to it, So
Oh yeah.
understood.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay, so then how long did you work for this other guy when you were giving him your services for free?
That's a good question. I guess I don't really know the exact timeline. Probably like 6 months or so, and then
Mm-hmm.
he start basically what I wanted was to just at the time I broke up with my girlfriend. It just wasn't working out, and I wanted to move home because I wanted to start a business, and I knew it'd be hard, so I needed to save as much
Mm-hmm.
money as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved on. I moved home. So at that time, I had the flexibility to be like, you know, I just need something to be able to survive, basically.
Right.
I'd love to work for you full time, but I just can't. I need to have something, basically. And at that point, I guess I got you know serviceable. I could actually
Mm-hmm.
help him out. So basically, when I quit my job, I took like less than half of the pay that I was making there, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just thought it hopefully it worked out, and got a little bit better, and I was able to you know get a raise basically, and then yeah, kind of progress from there.
Okay, so when you first started your own business, tell me like what was it like? You were landing clients, and what were you doing for those clients?
Yeah, so Cody and I started. So I had my business. When I was working with him, I started a business so I could be a contractor and like write stuff off and all that stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
we were always it quickly turned into like any kind of contractor. So his uncle had a a marketing company, but print marketing. So he was
Mm-hmm.
making shirts and anything you could physically hold. And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of brought up the whole SEO thing and got us into that after I learned a bunch. But Cody started talking to his uncle, and he was like, "Oh, that's a great idea." He kind of saw the future in it, so he started bringing on his clients to switch to, or not switch, but also do digital. So he
Mm-hmm.
started selling SEO and all these other things to them. So that's kind of how we really started to pick up, like, or being like, able to survive, basically, was just having clients like that. And as I got more confident, I started finding my own, and I had friends. That's basically where I started. Friends and like people I just ran into or whatever, they
Mm-hmm.
started being my clients. The next step was to take those clients where I get that money directly, whereas before I was kind of getting like a salary or just consistent income.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of went from getting like a fixed rate from him to fixed rate plus my clients to making enough with just my clients to be, that was enough. And then eventually just went all in and just never looked back, I guess.
Yeah, look at you now. Yeah.
I don't really think about the journey, so it's kind of crazy to think about. It's been a long time since I've thought about these steps. So
Well,
thanks
it's
for
cool.
that.
Yeah, it's cool to hear too. That's what we like to do here at the Dr. Dex podcast is we want to get to know our guests a little bit and kind of get a backstory before we get into current events or forward thinking and all that stuff, which is cool, and we want to hear all about that too. But we really like to get the history of you and how you got to where you are today. You know. So with that being said, where are we? I guess we're like you're in the early stages of your career, and you're how old now? At
34.
that point? No, I mean, excuse me. How old were
Oh,
you?
there.
You're
Whew,
like in
that's a
your
good
mid
question
20s.
too. Yeah, something. Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, probably somewhere. Yeah, 25, 20. Well, I
So
started at
how were you?
25. Yeah,
You're a marketer,
26.
so
Yeah.
you're a marketer. So how did you market yourself?
I mean, the beginning days after I kind of like didn't have the help from Cody, I guess, to do it. It was kind of like anybody that needed help, I would just work with. So like I had referrals. So the existing clients we work with would refer people. Um, I wouldn't say I did. I mean, I know I didn't do a good job of promoting myself. So most people had no idea what I did, but I would say probably referrals. And then, yeah, I mean, I actually took on, I started getting like not joint. Yeah, I guess it's a joint venture where I would pay friends to like sell for me, and then they would get a cut of it. So really anything and everything. I mean, it was so far from being organized. Like it was a complete like mess. It was like literally anything I could find. I mean, any kind of business.
Let me ask you this. You were doing all this marketing, you're working for different types of companies, doctors, dentists, veterinarians, whatever. And then you decide, hey, I want to focus on the fence and deck sector of the market. And what made you go to that?
Yeah, I get that pretty often. I really wish I had a better response or a
Mm-hmm.
sexier response, I guess. But basically, the main reason I did it was, well, for one, I joined I'm big into podcasts and not just, doing them, but big into just listening and learning. Like I found that to be like the biggest hack ever was to be able to like wake up early, have my own time and learn from people to I guess get better.
Mm-hmm.
So a big thing that, was always promoted to me was like you got to join a tribe, you got to be part of a group. You got to learn from
Mm-hmm.
people that have done what you want. And at that time I was kind of listening to anybody that was around me, which is there's not many people that I didn't know a single one that had a marketing agency. My dad was a
Mm.
builder, or he was a developer. He developed lots and built houses. So he can barely turn on a computer. So I didn't really have anybody to get actual advice from. So when I heard that, I actually got a Facebook ad from a mastermind that was just for agency owners, and it just seemed like act of God or something. I mean, to be honest, because like I remember to this day when I first saw the ads, and I was, it just seemed so good to be true. And the founder, I
Mm-hmm.
just was like, I was like, is this really like, what I need to do? And
Mm.
I basically, did all kinds of fact checking, do the things that everyone says to do, and talk to references. And eventually was like, yeah, let's just do it. And basically just transformed, after a while, just transformed everything because he was saying you got to pick a niche. So he was like, you got to get
Mm.
focused on one industry.
Mm-hmm.
And naturally, because I don't listen very well, I had to pick two. And I thought of, what kind of, hedge my bet a little bit, I guess.
Sure. Well,
Um,
they kind of go together.
yeah, and that at the time I had quite a few fencing and decking clients, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, that makes sense. I can just do case studies with them and kind of get off on the right foot. So, but weirdly enough, I thought fencing was going to be the much bigger start, but
Mm-hmm.
I would say decking is what took off much quicker, and I really didn't realize how I guess I didn't think about it, but now that I've gotten involved in the decking industry, and it's almost like more artists versus like, I've worked with a lot of roofers or HVAC, like there's nothing cool about
Yeah.
it. So like getting involved with Nadra and like, I'm on the education committee now and met you, I met, just so many people. That's where I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like just seeing all the events and, just like you winning number one deck in the entire world. And I remember following that along like every day basically it would pop up. So
Cool.
I just really fell in love with decking, but I didn't really think I would, I just kind of came.
That's awesome. Like it's just naturally evolving, and I can see it too. Because like, here's where our relationship comes in. Like, I had a huge issue personally, and I met Alex at a TimberTech event. I've met him several times. I've seen him a few times at some trade shows, JLC Live, and things like that. But when we really got involved was when all of a sudden I realized my Google business page listing, my Google business listing was suspended. And it had been suspended at that point for like 7 months. But I finally came to realize, why am I not getting very many emails and phone calls right now? And then I figured that out. And then I saw you in Arizona at a TimberTech event. And it was actually not at your booth because you had a special booth set up for the event, but it was actually at one of the bars at one of the resorts. They were having I think it was a football party or something like that, and I was there, and you happened to be there. And I came up to you and was like, "Hey, Alex, I got a situation, and I think you can help me with. And would you be interested in working with me on this?" And we had a chat. And it made sense. And then as soon as I let go of the reins, I said, here's my problem. You said, I can help you fix this. I have a team of people. And you let your team loose on it. And you coached me on what I needed to do, because I had to do some of it on my own. I had to do part of it. You guys had the knowledge, and then you gave me the power on how to fix it. And then you guys did all the legwork on it, but I had to still like have some signs made and cut a video, and I'm good at that. You know, I know how to cut videos and explain and do it. And you gave me examples of how to do that. But at that point, we were discussing the website as well, and revamping the webpage and making it all cohesive. And you have this master plan with me that's still in development. We're still working on it, but it's started out as a really great relationship. And I'm very grateful for that, because there's a lot of people in the world that can do a dog and pony show and a song and dance for you and make things appear like they're going to work. But to deliver and stick through it and resonate with a client and make sure that they're happy with it, and to make sure there's follow through and all the other things that you guys are doing, makes a lot of sense to a guy like me. Like, look, I'm in the fourth quarter of my career. I still got some years to go, but I want to make sure I have a solid internet presence throughout the lifespan of my business. And that was lacking, very much so. And I thought I was just going to rest on my laurels of all the accomplishments and all the achievements that I've already done. But that doesn't matter. It's what matters is what's available today, what the people can see now, and to be visible. And that's what I needed you for. So how do you feel like that's going right now? I mean, if I'm going to get personal about it, and I know this is actually about us, not so much about you, but this is where you shine. So tell me what you think of what you've done, and where you see things going after, the next couple months of after the webpage has been crawled and all that stuff, and you kind of explain some stuff to me. So I want to hear it from you.
Yeah. I mean, so a huge issue you first came to me with was the Google listing was down. So if your Google listing isn't live, that's where basically half of the leads come from. When you type in deck builder near me, it brings up the Google listing, the Google business profile. So we had to do that to get that updated. That's where the most and best leads should come, as long as you're getting reviews, as long as it looks good, things like that. So you have to have that there to get a good chunk of the leads. But the website, the Google listing, they all work together. So if you want to get ranking really well with your Google listing along with your website, get shown on Google at the top, you really have to have those working together. So with the things we were doing for you, we had to get the Google listing live so you could at least get some leads. But we wanted to make a really nice custom website that kind of fit the Dr. Dex brand. And we really wanted to make something, after meeting you and kind of your style and how you go about things, I wanted to create something different. And to me, like, what I've seen is, you got to pay attention to all those things. If you're, whether you're doing, I guess to go back to the Google listing, if, somebody's like, hey, I need a deck builder. And of course, you're building some of the most amazing projects in the world. Not everybody knows about Dr. Dex. So those ones that don't, they're going to treat you like just about everybody else. So if you have, say, 20 reviews, and this guy that, say I started a company and I could get reviews or whatever, or say somebody's faking them, that person that has 100 or 50 or whatever reviews and they have a nice website, even though they're competing against you, the best in the world, like, it doesn't matter. It really just matters on what that perception is. So the big thing with what we changed was, got to have that online image that matches actually the skills and, all the projects that you've done. So I think those pieces there are timeless. If you're going to spend, you're doing very big projects, but, decks alone, usually the average at a minimum, I would say, is 20,000 in terms of decks that people are doing. And, they go up to hundreds of thousands or millions, or 8 million.
Cool. So now that the website's done and it's up and we got the Google page listing back, then we were talking about search engine optimization. which is the SEO, and like there's lots of different search engines, but one of the biggest ones is Google, right?
Yep. Yep. So Google's always been the king. They still are. So if somebody's going to
Mm-hmm.
Google and or somebody's just looking for a deck, they're going to go to Google.
Mm-hmm.
Stat was 87% of the time people go to Google. I think it's starting to go down a tad with AI, but it's still the overwhelming majority. They're easily still the king. So,
Mm-hmm.
if that many people are going to Google and you're not showing up, like it's insane the amount that you're missing out on. I mean, it's just
Right.
the vast majority you're going to be missing out on. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, there's other ways to get leads, and people have successful businesses all the time. But with decks specifically, I would say it's more important than ever because it's highly residential. Is what we found. Fencing,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of commercial guys, and they bid on contracts and things like that. But I rarely see a residential or a commercial decking guy. It's usually they're working on houses. So
Right.
um, for the decking side, like you got to make sure you're paying attention to that and doing all the stuff with your website, your Google listing, getting reviews. And now with AI, similar processes need to be followed to do the same thing. So whether it's Google or say ChatGPT miraculously takes over, it doesn't really matter because it's still you're doing something to be found
Mm-hmm.
naturally. People want to find organic listings, organic businesses, and real people to see if they're going to come and install $50,000 worth of composite decking. So
Right.
it'll be a pretty timeless thing. It could be shaken up by where people go, but it's never going to be the case where they're not going somewhere. They got to find you somehow.
Okay, so I have a question. So I've been finding a lot of people are finding us from Google, but it pushes them right to our YouTube channel, which I'm happy about. But I heard YouTube is the second biggest search engine,
Yep.
basically, which is owned by Google. And so, how is your strategy or thoughts on YouTube as part of the overall search engine part of what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just depends on your company. I would say the way the amount of following that you built, it's going to be a little bit different because you're huge on YouTube, so you can
Mm-hmm.
kind of get leads in a bunch of different ways. But what I would say, I mean, it just kind of depends on what you like doing, what your preferences are. But
Mm-hmm.
in general, if you're a contractor just wanting to make some more money, it's usually a lot easier to pay somebody and do SEO versus like, I guess the time commitment. And I know this as well because I have I do videos too. Nothing,
Mm-hmm.
nowhere close to the following you have. But I know it's not an easy thing to produce video content.
Right.
But what I always kind of say is like the SEO, the website, even Google Ads are usually like a quicker win. But if you take the time to build a following like you have, and I mean, it's gonna pay off too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind
Okay.
of depends on
So it kind of
what you
depends
want.
on we're more unicorns. Like you're going to have less clients with that have a large social media audience. I guess that makes sense. But in my situation, I guess that's something we should leverage because
Oh yeah,
okay, here's something else for you. This week, I've been on 4 bids, and 2 of the 4 bids found me on Reddit,
interesting.
which is very interesting. Like how I think it's almost an anomaly that I would have 2 people in the same week that actually called me because of Reddit threads, but it's not the first time this year. I've had 6 people or 7 people tell us that they found us on Reddit this year in 2026. And I don't understand why. I don't understand how that works, but it's definitely something that I'm going to be looking into because there's a certain audience or a certain consumer that is really, I'm not going to say they're super nerdy, but and they've all admitted to me that it's kind of a nerdy thing to do is go onto Reddit and whatever they're doing to look for decks. But how to like they're stumbling upon these threads, right? So I just found that kind of interesting that's the case. So I don't know if that's something that I should be trying to inject further deeper into.
Yeah, so that's a good point because as AI's grown, I mean Google does this a little bit as well, but Reddit's a big one for AI. So when you do SEO, search engine optimization, you basically need to put a business on other websites. So something that we do already is, you don't have to worry about some businesses if they already have it, but we add you to those websites. So to Reddit, there's thousands of different websites out there that we have to add your business information to, because Google basically, and ChatGPT, all the AIs, they'll basically, they're almost like fact checking a little bit to make sure your business is real and see if people are talking about you. So it's kind of like I always say it's like a popularity contest, because if Google can see, or these engines can see, like you're being talked about on these other websites, it adds basically like validity to your business. Reddit's a powerful one. Every business should have some kind of Reddit feed or some kind of following, because that's a big one. That's what, when ChatGPT and all these AIs started coming out,
Mm-hmm.
that was a big one where they said they're going to be looking and seeing what people are talking about, because I guess, they're getting real opinions, I guess, for lack of a better
Mm-hmm.
term, on businesses. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would say there's not a whole bunch to like lean in, I would say, and yeah, it's kind of a tough one. I would say with your following and how people know you, they're probably talking about Reddit, and you're one of the most, if not probably the most like known deck builders. So people kind of talk to you about there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's
Interesting.
a good idea. You should
Interesting.
be on
So,
those.
so how do you get on Reddit? Like, do you have to does somebody have to be talking about you, or can you like say, "Hey, I'm Dr. Dex, and this is what I do for a living. Here's a picture of a job I did," or does it work that way, or is it like just discussions? Is it not video and photographs? Is it more verbiage
Yeah.
that's being put out? Just like text, only text going through on these threads.
So it's definitely primarily text. I
Mm-hmm.
don't go on Reddit too often, but I know you can
Mm-hmm.
put photos in there,
Mm.
but yeah, I don't know. It's something that you should be on there, and do what you can to, I guess, to let yourself known in those avenues. But
Mm-hmm.
what I've seen is it's usually far from the majority, I guess. Like if you were
Mm.
to sit and say, like, especially business owners, they don't have any time. Like
Right.
where I spend my limited time, spending time on Reddit and things like that, I wouldn't say is the best use of time, but
Right.
probably even more so. And, we talk to a lot of contractors. Some of them we just don't recommend doing what we're offering at the point that they're in. But guerrilla marketing, kind of, Facebook groups, things like that are a great way to get local leads. Nextdoor is another one. Those are probably the top two where you like really go out and say, "Hey, I'm, uh, you know, ABC decking or whatever," and
Mm-hmm.
use my stuff. Those are probably the ones I see the most for that.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to do this, and you guys definitely have your strategy of how you are going to promote a company, and then once you set a company up in your system, then you go into like a maintenance mode or something like that, where you're kind of are you partially promoting the company and then partially just making sure all of the ducks are in a row per se, kind of thing, or what?
So the website, like if you build a website and you do it right, then the overall structure of the website, like the pages that are talking about services, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
those usually don't need to have a ton of edits. But what's really important with the website is you have to have new, consistent content. So you might not be editing the service pages, but you might be adding pages for the cities you work in,
Mm-hmm.
saying you're the top deck builder in Tacoma or whatever other cities you're working
Mm-hmm.
in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also, blog posts talking about different things related to decking. Google needs to see that stuff to make sure you're not just letting your
Mm-hmm.
website sit stagnant, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have new stuff going there. Plus, we kind of touched on this, but didn't really explain it. The whole popularity contest with Google, if they see that people are linking to your website, meaning, if everyone's probably done this, like you're scrolling through an article and you see blue text in the middle of the paragraph, you click that and it goes to a completely different website. Those are
Mm-hmm.
called backlinks.
Backlinks,
So
yeah.
yep. So Google wants to see those backlinks, a lot of them. So if they see that all these people are talking about your website and everyone's linking to it, that kind of tells them like, hey, everyone's talking about them, like they must be more important. And the same thing goes with all the social media content stuff you do that can help as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those are really just a couple of things, but those are two of the big ones.
we're kind of current now with your story. So, do you have like a 5-year plan or a 1-year plan, a 10-year plan? Where do you see your company going in the future and that kind of thing?
Yeah. I don't really have I mean, I want to keep growing. That's basically what I want to do, and just keep,
Mm-hmm.
with marketing, what I like about it is it's always changing. So there's always something fun to kind of learn and do. It's never
Mm-hmm.
like the same thing over and over again. So the
Mm-hmm.
plan with the business is just to keep growing and hiring. So
Mm-hmm.
our team, I just like I was saying in the beginning, all the podcasts, all the books I've read, things like that, I've learned how to build a culture, how to have a company that people want to work for. So
Mm-hmm.
my goal is to just keep growing. So that way there's more opportunities. I look at it as, and it makes sense when you think about it, if you have a company that's just sitting stagnant, or, I get to a point where I'm good and things are going really well, like who wants to work for, that person, is kind of how I look at it. How do you keep those really great people if they're just seeing you kind of just like, just chilling,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not
Mm-hmm.
really pushing anything, like how does, and I wouldn't have a way of like creating those opportunities if we didn't keep growing and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have fun with that. I've carefully pick whoever works with us, because of course I want them to do good work and, provide work, whatever. But at the end of the day, I don't want to work with anybody. Like, why would I build a business just to work with people I didn't want to hang out with? So,
Sure.
I used to dread work. It used to be just so overwhelming, but now I really don't at all. I've hired for all the stuff that I really don't like or I'm not that good at. So, I like going to work, and I look forward to, not everything's perfect. I don't want to make it seem like everything's perfect, but,
Right.
um, it's fun. Like, I like the sales. I like talking to guys. I like doing the podcast, the marketing. I have the video crew now. So I'm going to try to be like you.
Oh.
Um,
Oh, nice.
so yeah, we're, thinking of fun stuff like that, and the shows and the traveling, and, it's
Mm-hmm.
just become a good time. So yeah,
Very cool.
it sounds probably cliche, but just trying to keep it going, and, keep the good talent we have, and, have fun, have fun while we're doing it.
Great. Because it sounds like you've amassed quite a team you have a team of 26, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like
Wow.
it happened in a flash, to be honest. Like, it seemed like it was 4, like, last year, but, it just happened fast, I guess.
Good for you. Good for you. No, that's great, man. I'd like to see it. And it's awesome to have uh, the ability to be able to bring that kind of talent in, and so you can just make it where you need it to be, so that you can keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really cool. So what do you have any like clients you're trying to land right now that you're really excited about, or uh, is there anybody for our listeners, like what if there's somebody that's young and they're just starting out and they really don't know what to do, and I get this a lot with people that ask me a lot of questions, like asking me this, asking me that. What would you say are the important factors for somebody that's just getting started in their business? Maybe they've been in business a year or two and they actually have a couple jobs lined up or sold, and they don't really have a good website. They don't really do social media. They're just getting started. What would your advice be to them?
Yeah. Have this conversation constantly. Like, if you're just getting started, or you're a year or two or something like that, in terms of marketing, I would say you have to get some kind of website. So if you don't have a website, you don't have to pay us or another agency to do it, but you got to get something. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's 2026. You got to have a website. And you might even be able to make it with AI, and, just get something up there as cheap as you
Mm-hmm.
can. That's important. The number one, these kind of work together, but even more important, you have to get that Google listing, and you have to get reviews. So the number one thing I would say of anything is getting a Google listing and making reviews like your religion, because
Mm-hmm.
there's such a clear correlation between like the companies that have a lot of reviews and the ones that make a lot of money, get a lot of leads.
Mm-hmm.
So, we see time and time again, the ones that are just blowing out their competition with reviews are usually the biggest company in the whole area.
Hmm.
Not to say it's the only thing, but there's definitely a connection there. So getting those reviews, if you're just getting started, get to 30 as quick as you can. That's that's like kind of the minimum, and then look at your competition from there. But yeah, I would say those are the biggest things. Just getting started that I would
like if you're a production company and you're doing a lot of decks, you can actually get a lot of reviews. But a guy like me, I might build 10 to 12 decks a year, and not every client's going to do that because they're just not online or they're too busy or I've asked. The funny thing is, I went on a bid yesterday. And I went up to these people and I went on the estimate and I looked at it and I'm like, this really is not a fit for my company, but I'm going to give you guys some free advice. I've been doing this for 35 years. Here's my analytic or my analogy on what you got going on here. And I gave them some really solid advice. And they said, well, can we pay you for your time? I'm like, no. I said, but what you could do, if you wanted to, you could leave me a Google review. And I asked this lady, and she looked at me and she says, absolutely. Because she was one of the ones that found me on Reddit. And I thought, great, maybe she will, maybe she won't. Guess what? Looked at my emails today. She left me a really great review just for the fact that I came out and gave her some, because it did take me time. Yeah, it cost me a couple hours of my day, a couple $100 of time or whatever, however you want to value that. I don't really look at bidding time the same as construction time, but it does have value. So to me, for her to leave that review, that gave me validation of value that I would go to this person and just be nice. But I was also brutally honest with them, which normally, I am, but I was really like stern. I don't know. I was almost like the older guy on the job site. This was a younger couple, and they were in the military, and they weren't staying in the house for more than a couple more years. And I said, I don't know if I said, do you guys want to spend $100,000 for a couple years? And they were like, no. I'm like, okay, then I'm probably not your guy. I don't really do repair work. I'm not a handyman. It cost me $1,000 just to move my tools back and forth. So that's some really solid advice. For all of our young listeners or new business owners or somebody that's just getting into it, I would heed what Alex just told you. Make it priority number one, okay? And I think it is solid advice from what you've taught me and what I've learned. And pay attention to that stuff. Like the one frustrating thing, Alex, what do you do about people that get their companies mixed up? Like this lady in Seattle. Now, I don't work in Seattle. I don't live in Seattle. It's on a bad day, it's a 2-hour commute each way. On a good day, it's 45 minutes from where I live. My team has to drive further than that. So what do you tell people? Like, if I had a lady leave me a negative review, and it wasn't even me. I'm not the one that came out to her. It wasn't my company, period. It was somebody else. And she blamed Dr. Dex for it. And she was able to leave this review on my page or on Google reviews, and there's nothing I can do about it. So what do you do about something like that?
So you're saying you got a review from somebody that wasn't?
Yeah, I got a review from somebody, and I'd never met this lady in my life.
Yeah, we see that pretty often.
She got her companies mixed up. Like, I'm Dr. Dex. She decided that was an easy target. That's who I'm going after, even though it was ABC Dex out of North Seattle instead of me down in South Tacoma. You know? So what do you do about that?
So you can report them, and you should as soon as you can. As soon as you get them, you should report them. Best way to do it, I mean, there's definitely no clear science to stuff like that, but if you can report it and then you can get other people to report it too, that helps. But reviews, oh my gosh, like they are the worst. I mean, they're basically just
dealing with
constant pain. Yeah, it's like the number one
and
thing.
You guys do this professionally.
Yeah,
right. You do this professionally for a living, day in and day out, and you guys are having issues with it. So the average Joe contractor that's not internet savvy or tech savvy, how are we supposed to deal with that? I mean, besides leave a reply and say, no, I told this lady, I said, can I have your name? I said, because I don't find you in our database, and I would like to let my attorney know to handle this. So if you could please tell me when I was out there or something like that,
Yeah.
because eloquently verbed, but dang, it's almost like they make it too easy to leave a bad review when it's not warranted.
Yeah. And sometimes they'll hide the good reviews too. I
Oh,
mean,
really?
yeah. I mean, that'll happen all the time. It's something that, I mean, we see pretty often, but yeah, I mean, if you get those bad reviews, like, you have no idea who they are. You could say something, always be like, nice in the review, things like that. Cause if you respond like negatively or kind of jerk about it, like they're just going to automatically assume that that's going to be their experience if they go to work with you. And you kind of want to think about the next person that finds your Google listing.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's really, so, we've found some different people and different ways to remove reviews, but it's usually you got to take care of it quickly. If you let it go
Okay.
for years, like good luck removing a review from a year ago or 5 years ago.
Right.
Like, so you want to deal with it as quick as you can, report it, get as many people as you can to report it as well. That's probably your best bet. So just act on it quick.
So how many clients do you have currently?
So I don't know the exact number, somewhere around 70. Yeah. 70
Okay.
active. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm one of them.
Yeah.
71.
Yeah, those are.
And so,
Go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. So if once, okay, I think we talked about this, but I want to hit it again. Once you got us streamlined and we're up and running, you got my Google business page listing back, you have my website up and running, and it's getting, it's getting some time on the internet and all that. What would be next for Dr. Dex?
You mean once like the Google listing or the website are kind of in good
Yeah.
shape? Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, I hear that one a lot too. I mean, it really just completely comes down to what your goals are. So, I'm always the last one to just like, because we do a lot of stuff, the website, SEO, Google ads, Facebook ads, we've done social media, but not everybody needs that, and it really just comes down to like where you're at, what you're doing, and what the goal is. So, if you want to grow to really any number, I can come up with ideas all day. We have clients that are 20 plus million. So it's like, basically there's always an option. But if you were to say like with Dr. Dex and you wanted to keep going after that, the website, the Google listing, all that stuff, you got a couple options. Usually the number one is Google ads. So with SEO, with ranking on AI, a lot of times you're going to have kind of a limit of how far you can rank from your office, where you're located. So if you want to start getting jobs that are an hour away or, whatever distance, Google ads, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can start ranking ads. We've never done across the country, but I guess you probably could if you really wanted to. But usually people, with SEO, you're kind of targeting a home base and plus however many miles. But if you bigger companies that want to go 2 hours for whatever reason, that's when you start using Google ads. Then you can use Facebook ads, taking content, and really that's probably the next logical step in becoming more omnipresent, because most people are not Dr. Dex, so they don't have any kind of like social footprint. So these days, like I always say this quote. So the rule of 7 in marketing was like the old way. You see somebody 7 times in order for them to actually reach out and work with you. That's like the older term. Now they say it's roughly 23 times when you're talking about expensive things like decks, So, if it's 23 times, and I know tons of deck builders. I know the biggest ones and what they do. And I can say like the biggest thing is they're omnipresent, they're well known, they provide a great service. You can't, if you want to really scale it and actually make a profit, like you got to start getting some referrals too. But yeah, those are probably the biggest ones, Facebook ads. But, I'll be the first to say too, like whatever's working, you can do offline stuff that we don't even do. If you're doing mailers, if you're doing magazines, if you're doing billboards, TV, whatever, just make sure you know how to track it and have some kind of way to see that. Because if you're trying to grow whatever level you want, if you have the tracking to see like, all right, this many leads came from the mailers or, the billboards or SEO, and then we got this much revenue from it and this much profit. If you're making money off any of those and you want more leads, you can handle them, you have a sales team, whatever, keep going. Literally never stop if you want to just keep going and you want more. But not everybody does. So it just kind of depends on you and what you want.
Well,
but
it depends on your company, on your scope. And that makes sense. Like, it depends on the scope of the company. Like my company, I'm still part of it. I'm still working the business. So I'm just not pointing fingers. I'm actually physically in it with my team. I only need to sell 10 to 12 decks a year.
Yeah.
They just need to be the right ones. And so usually we get like 17 leads a week. But lately it's just been a little different. I think maybe because we started our new website and all these other changes and having the Google business listing down and all that kind of might have impacted us some. But now things are starting to ramp back up. So our season is starting really late this year, but as long as we continue to work and I keep making sales, but I have to have a special client that sees the value in hiring the type of caliber of work that we're going to do versus just a square or a box or just something to get you up out of the dirt. So definitely a different thing, and love the new website. It's everything that I asked for and more, and I'm really grateful for you guys putting in the energy and the effort to make that a reality. I didn't have to do a whole lot except get you guys some pictures, maybe a little bit of verbiage. And I know that took a minute, but we got there. So, okay, Alex, what else? How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so to reach out, you can just go through the website. So Deck Fence Marketers, it's kind of backwards, not fence deck, but deckfencemarketers.com. And, there's all kinds of stuff on there. We are on all the social media too, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and we post a lot of stuff. So kind of I don't think I touched on this, but from the beginning, like we've always wanted to I follow the model of, you produce good quality content, give people the best type of knowledge, and they can implement it themselves if they want to. If they need help, then they can call us. So, we have webinars every month that we do. We have team members full time just to help with creating content. So if you want to check that out, if you're not ready to reach out, you can just go through that and basically check out the website, the webinars, the podcast, all that stuff is kind of all enclosed in that site. And it's if you want help, if you don't want to do it, you don't have the time, reach out and we'll just look at what you got and give you some suggestions.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Alex, is there anything that you want to say or discuss or talk about?
I feel like we covered it. I mean, I guess I will say these days, just because we kind of touched on social media, obviously you've built an incredible following there. We actually don't do a whole lot of social media, but that's another thing that I really wish more people would pay attention to as well and hire those crews. The same thing I've done, hiring people in-house to come out and do content, because it's only going to go more in that direction. So, if you can create some new content there, I would recommend that. But
video is king, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's actually if you look at the track record of how Instagram has evolved over the last 12, 15 years, has it even been 15 years? Maybe 12 years, 13 years, where it just started out as a photo app.
Yeah.
And then it went into 30-second clips and then 60-second clips. Now you can go up to 3 minutes, It's kind of crazy how much video, and reels are videos, really. So reels are like the most watched asset that they have on their platform. So it just goes to show you how important video is in this situation,
Yeah. Yeah. It's not going away,
Yeah.
It's only going to get bigger and bigger. So
I think people are like opting not to watch television, and they're going to YouTube and they're watching their favorite channels and getting their information from human beings like out in the field versus like somebody sitting in a studio, or something like that. So it's kind of interesting to hear how people are finding me. And I find that there's a certain age group that I go, again, going out on estimates, going out in the field. And I always ask every client, like, how did you find Dr. Dex? And people usually 50 and older are telling me, well, we found you on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Really? Yeah. That's what I said. Really? They're like, yeah, we watch all your YouTube stuff. And that's how we found you, was actually I did a Google search and it put us right to your YouTube channel. And then we just started watching your videos, And so that's interesting. Like even Calvin and I will search for something that we're looking for and we pop up.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how that works. So it just goes to show is it depends on how integrated you want to be on the internet. And, if you're a very private person, then, it's probably not for you to be on social. But if you want to get known and be seen, there's some great ways to do it. You really just need to be consistent with it.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing I've always, and most people don't like it that much, I would say, or not like that into it, especially with contractors. So, if you don't like doing it, find somebody that can help you with it, that does like doing it, that can get in there and do these things, because I'm a great case study of that, where I know I will not do the whole process. It would never get done if I had to do all the editing and all that stuff. So I just had to create a system where I passed off whatever I created over to a team, and
and they're doing a great job with it, because your stuff keeps popping up all the time, and your backdrops and having some of these guys on that you've had, I'm like, wow, man, this is really great. They're pulling great clips out of your podcasts and out of your testimonials, and it's really cool to see and to watch, and it's all strategy, man, and it's working. I think it's working. I hope it's working. I don't know, but you'd have to tell me. Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. And then, you get people like me that are true believers, because we have experience of working with you and working with your team. And the person you mated me with, Alexandria, she's amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And she's not even in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is really crazy, but it doesn't matter because she's on top of it, man. So you're hiring people wherever they are for this service to do what you need them to do.
Yeah. So Allie's actually from South Africa, and
cool.
Yeah, she
big shout out to Alex.
Yeah. So Alex, that's actually what she would probably introduce her as Alex, but I'm Alex too. So we okay. It's gonna get too confusing, but yeah. But anyways, she, I've learned a lot off, since being in business. There's incredible people everywhere, and there's terrible people everywhere. So it's not that I say I have it all figured out, because I definitely don't. But the things I have learned is you just need to have a basically pretty good system and good questions to ask, and I guess a little bit of a hunch sometimes too, but. If you find people that actually care, they're gonna do great things, and frankly, a lot better than me. She's a really way better account manager.
It's really cool that you can hire people from around the globe that can work remote with you in what you do. That's not going to work for me, but it works for you, and that's just awesome. So, Alex Danner from Fence and Deck Marketers, we're out of time, brother.
This has been fun. I appreciate you, bringing me on here, and
heck yeah.
Yeah, we went through all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much. If you want to hear more from Alex, we're going to keep him around for just a little bit longer on our Patreon channel. So if you guys want to hear more from Alex, go over to Patreon and subscribe, guys. Alex, thank you so much for being here. Once again, how do we get a hold of you? Deckfencemarketers.com?
Yep, deckfencemarketers.com, and you can call us or reach out that way. We'll be
and
here.
All socials.
Yeah, all socials too.
All right, man. Alex, thanks again.
Thank you.
Over and out.